Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome on in to another episode of the Thing Crust Flopcast, where we do try and talk about some video games. When we're not,
try.
yeah, when animals are not getting in the way, or life, or video games.
Having a tooth removed and it healing.
Yeah, I know. My knuckles are still hurting from that one. Didn't realise you were such a biter. Damn.
You've always known this. This is going to sound so bad. And you know it's going to be out of context as hell, because the only person right here, right now, that knows what I'm going to be talking about is Chaos. You know I like biting people. And I love to be bitten.
Depends if you get pushed or not.
And depending on what way too, because you know exactly I meant that in more than one. In more than one way.
If you wish to be bitten by Damo, it is $29.99 on Damo's OnlyFans.
I don't have an OnlyFans. Like, don't get me wrong, and I just want to make this point out here right now, okay? If you do OnlyFans, you know what? I'm envious of you, because at least you have the confidence to do that.
Yeah.
You do you, boo. You make your bank how you make your bank. I ain't gonna sit here and judge, but personally, because of my own confidence issues, I don't think I ever will open up an OnlyFans. Properly, at least. So...
I mean, it's not like I actually looked into the whole process.
Like how it works?
Yeah.
No, I know.
Because I was curious. Not like I've had like so many people that she say, "Hey, Chaos, you should start doing this," for ages. I mean, am I wrong? It's actually been one of the longest running gags around here.
Right.
But yes, you make your bank, we'll just sit here and have a wank. Anyway.
Oh my god.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know who I am. I'm the Chaos of Dragons, the host of this madness, and joining me is my lovely co-host, and one who probably wants to put me in a headlock and punch me a few times right about now. It's Damo!
Hello, everybody. But also, why would I want to put you in a headlock when I could just do that with my thighs instead?
Because I end up standing and pushing you off me.
Do not underestimate a woman's thighs.
Do not underestimate a dragon's strength.
I am not underestimating. I'm just saying. I'm not making the situation any better.
You really aren't, no. You really are.
I'm good at crushing. I'm good at, okay, not literal crushing, but I'm good at, you know, headlocking with my thighs. Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Hello, YouTube.
Hello, YouTube. How you doing, you saucy lot?
Please don't ban me.
That's tame for us. What do you mean?
hey, you never know these days. You never know. Yeah, I really would not want to push my luck, especially with how their system can be temperamental.
Dad, not that this does come up on your YouTube recommended, but if it does, turn it off.
By the time you're telling him to turn it off, you've already heard it. You're a bit too fucking late on that one.
I know. Terrible, right? Anyway, as you were saying.
News just in, Damo's got Amazon thighs.
Yes. They don't look like Amazonian thighs, but they have the strength of Amazonian thighs.
More at 11. It's gonna be fucking like that today, I swear.
Yeah.
But yes, where can people find you, Damo?
You guys can find me over at twitch.tv/itsdamoo, itsdamoo TV on TikTok, as well as itsdamoo on Bluesky.
Yeah. Oh, fucking hell. Why do I always try to start shit like off this way?
I don't know, but you know what? If it works, it works. It sounds like it's Samu. It's Samu.
New nickname, it's Samu.
It's Samu.
It's Amore! When you're down in your life and she crosses you with thighs, that's a demo.
When he creams, it's not cheese, it's a dragon. I don't know what I was doing, but it sounded better in my head, I'm gonna lie.
It's about that I'm trying to find a way to actually make it work now. I'm just trying to make those lines work.
Oh, what I just said, yeah.
Yes, is it bad?
When you want to scream, but you want to cream, it's not enough cheese.
No. When you're down on your luck and you don't give a fuck, it's your right hand.
It's your right hand. Honestly, we're gonna have to actually get into like a fucking studio at one point and just record around a bunch of shit, like whether it's voice lines or just taking the piss. Like,
the day that the day that someone lets us into a fucking studio is someone clearly hasn't been paying attention to the shit we do if they let us in the studio.
I want to say, during college, I actually have been in a recording studio, and the school that I went to actually actively still has one.
Oh, no.
That I also used to use quite a bit. So the college the college course that I did had one in their little building, but we also got taken to a proper recording studio.
Oh, fuck.
And I've also been in multiple like studio practice places too. So they know what they're getting into when I'm in there, because when
you get in
myself
there,
in the hoodie.
If I walk in there, it's a whole different ballgame.
Hey, I will research to see what's nearest to you, and like I don't care how much it costs.
No, we're not doing that.
We've got to do this shit. Yes, we do.
Coming soon to you, a Chaos Dragon audiobook.
Alright, gives me inspiration and motivation to finish off some fanfiction.
No, I will now be reading out a book of your choice. 50 Shades of Grey, read out by me, Chaos.
And me is the moon. Actually, not. Yeah, fuck it. We're doing that at some point.
Oh,
you can't get out of it now.
50 Shades of Grey now turn into 50 Shades of oh shit. Or in this case, 50 Shades of shit. Yes. But right, let's try and get back on track. So, Damo, as always, the fuck you been up to the past couple of weeks?
The fuck I've been up to the past couple of weeks?
Yes, gaming-wise, what the fuck you been playing?
I've been playing some Baldur's Gate, some Ale and Tail. Let's see. Oh, I installed this bed we made last night, and I played it today and completed it. I think I got one of the okay endings, which is cool. Obviously, we did a couple hours of tavern talk, which I know it can't be helped, but I'm still going to sit here and apologise a little sneaky bit, because, we usually do more than 2 hours, and it was unfortunate that I had a headache, that even my prescribed sunglasses that usually do help and aid me into no longer having said headache just wasn't helping at all.
Damo, what are we always saying?
I know real life comes first, and so does health, and I understand that. But I'm still going to apologise, because I still feel bad about it.
Stop.
Anyway, so for the King 2, Sims 4 as well,
Sims?
I actually... I mean, to be fair, I do go through a lot of phases where I don't actively play Sims for, months. So...
Leg gasp!
I know. Play some bugs. Buckshot Roulette, and I also played Atom 4 as well, which I am very happy to give my review on since I've played it a little bit more where I initially got stuck. And I've actually been able to progress a bit more in that as well. So, oh, and I also played Split Fiction with Ivy as well on stream on
After an hour of trying to get it to work.
Yes.
Cause fucking EA.
Yes. You know, so there was that, and I think that's about it that I've actually played as of recent, apart from obviously my bog standard doing my dailies on my phone games and stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's that. But enough about me, at least, anyway. Pizza Daddy, what have you been up to this week, like these past 4 weeks?
Dealing with kids. Wondering if it's still too late to initialize the return policy. Can I get a refund on this child?
Oh my goodness.
They're in their 20s. It's a bit too late. Damn it. Been doing a lot of Xenoblade Chronicles X. And
Yeah.
by a lot, I mean a lot.
Who wouldn't
And by
care?
that, I mean 90 hours.
Yep, there we go.
Been doing a fair amount of Metopia, having a lot of fun with that. And also been doing Bleach Rebirth of Souls, which I'll be able to actually give my own review on that as well. Some surprising things you'll hear in my response in regards to that. Obviously, I've been doing ZZZ, or Send Zone Zero, to those of you who do not know. I'm not just snoring. Been doing Star Rail as well, just building up wishes, because why not?
Right.
Let's see what else. I also, because my save file got corrupted, so I redid Devil May Cry 5 today and beat it.
I don't know, it became corrupted.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, it was fine when I had it on when I did it on PS4. Yeah, when I started playing PS5, my save file was gone, so I just restarted it and then just beat it today. Literally did it while I was in the call with you guys.
Nice.
I mean, it helps the fact that I literally had all the stuff, including the super forms, so I just used them and just got powered through.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's like,
Good though. That's good though, the fact that you managed to complete it today. That's cool.
yeah, it's not that long a game. It's only 20 missions.
I suppose, yeah.
Plus, also, like, I just literally just went skip on the cutscenes.
I feel that. It's literally me and Inventor today, actually. We were playing some Baldur's Gate 3 a little bit earlier, weren't we?
Yeah.
We were like showing off our characters sort of thing, and like I'm doing it on this one for me and Inventor, like our personal one for off stream, is that I'm doing Dark Urge run. But a good Dark Urge run, because
I've got a question.
You know, what's up?
Are you ever actually going to start a run with people where you not, like, end up, like, a few weeks later, end up back at the beginning again? Because that keeps happening.
It does, but the thing is, like, yeah, having multiple saves can be annoying, but I actually kind of like having multiple saves. When I actually reinstalled it, because obviously Steam has, like, cloud saves, right? It actually came up with all of my old saves. So obviously, granted, I wouldn't be able to play the majority of them because the majority of them did have mods that I no longer have. But it was kind of nice to see, like, oh, you know, that's kind of cool sort of situation. But because it's been like a few updates and stuff, some of the saves have actually become like corrupted. So I was like, well, I can't remember how to get into this cloud saves for Steam, so I can actually manually delete them from there, because obviously not, you know, touch wood, that I would have to restart my fucking PC again until it gets upgraded. You know, that way I don't have to go through and keep manually deleting them in the actual game in itself. So.
Jeez. It's like, it was funny, like, I see loads of people, oh, I'm doing this save file, I'm doing this with this person, so we're going through the game, literally, basically it's like replaying the same fucking thing again and again and again and again and again, And it's like, don't get me wrong, but it's so fucking annoying watching people literally do the same shit again.
At least you know, though, when it comes to patch 8, when that like finally comes out and we get to play that, it will be the case of, you know, we'll do our own one to make sure obviously it works, but we'll still use that one for when we stream it as well.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, what we're gonna do the first like 20 minutes to an hour by ourselves probably, and then we'll like come to a halt.
Yeah.
So that way, whoever we have come in and come in and play with us, is gonna be like, okay, we don't have to faff about with all of this.
Yeah.
Like all over again. Which, don't get me wrong, as much as I love having multiple saves, you're also not wrong in saying yourself, like, when is there going to be a time you're not going to start at the beginning?
Yeah, I know. It's like,
you know,
it's like I've seen the beginning so many fucking times. It's like, ugh.
I've completed it a few times. I still haven't done the new evil run yet, though.
So when are we going to get an evil run from you?
I don't know. Whoever's willing to do an evil run with me, because I can't bring myself to do it like on my own.
Not if I'm going full evil run. Guarantee I'm stabbing a Starian.
Yes, but you'd get more satisfaction by killing him at the end, and there's a good reason why for that, which I obviously will not spoil for you, because, you know, even if it is about a Starian that, you know, you don't like hate him, you just don't like the fact that, you know, everyone becomes a little bit of a shrimp.
Oh no, I do. Oh no, it's not that. It's not that at all. Literally just want to piss off the internet. That's a shit. I'm literally just trying to troll everyone. It's like, hey, look at that. Hey guys, want to come to my barbecue? What are you cooking? Oh, Starian, welcome. I'm cooking some steak.
We're off to a fabulous start, aren't we?
It's not like you literally had me fucking revive you at on our first playthrough back on the PlayStation. You had me revive you after you literally had him drain you dry just to show off the cutscene.
There's also, it's not so much obviously like, you know, secret dialogue, but it's still classed as secret dialogue. So basically, if you have a star in your party, and say for example you kill him and then you also revive him, you'll have this like little funny dialogue. Because it's like, I can understand why he's mad at you for like, you know, killing him sort of situation. But it's better to do it like, you know, when he does like the whole biting scene sort of situation. Yeah, like it's better to do it then, because you can full on like stake him and then you revive him.
Alright. That's enough dilly-dallying. I believe we should get on to the articles now.
That we should.
Now, obviously we'll get onto our reviews later on, folks. So, hold on to that. So, obviously, as you guys know, we're, around here, we tend to talk about a lot of news that not many people cover. At least that I've seen. But, the one thing that we are going to cover is obviously in regards of the Switch 2. Which obviously had its big, massive direct, literally happened last week. A lot of things to look forward to. Especially with the introduction of the GameCube emulator added onto the extension. However, quite a few things obviously have caused a lot of concern in regards for people. Obviously, the increase in gaming price. So, the fact that Nintendo are the first one to fire the bullet of video games literally being £70 to £75. It's like, yeah, nah, that's not going to sit well with a lot of people.
Well, no, because you got to think, like, a lot of people we're literally used to having like games on the Switch at most be like 50 quid.
50, 60 quid at most, yeah. But the thing is, it's like, I'm sorry, but they need to make it so it's actually fucking worth the price. And I get, obviously, with the increase in, obviously, various things going on throughout the world, which we will not talk about, period. But at the same time, it's gonna be much more difficult to justify video games. Like, before it was a case of justifying video games many years ago, justifying it out of not wanting to look like an absolute dork. Now it's going to be a case of you don't want to justify the price because, well, no one can fucking afford it other than the rich. And it's like they're going to have to, with the price being what it is of the Switch 2, it's with essentially it costing like 400 quid. And that's just the base. And I believe the Mario Kart World is 450 quid, I believe.
I think that's what I thought that was dollars when I initially saw it, but
Yeah,
I do see what you mean.
Yeah, but the fact, regardless though, it's like it's a bit much.
Oh no, I agree with you, but then at the same time, like I'm looking at it from a point of view of, okay, I got my Switch OLED like on contract originally, as you know.
Yeah.
But even then, if I wanted to buy that outright, like it doesn't matter if I went to a store that's here in the UK. If anybody that's watching is unfamiliar with, it's actually pronounced Sex, but I call it Kex or CEX because it doesn't sound right.
Everyone calls it CEX, what I know.
Yeah, CEX. You know, like second hand was still like 300 odd, like 307 odd quid.
I got the price here. 300 for the base model, 395.99 for the base model, for including Mario Kart, £429.99. And it's like, I don't agree with. I understand that it was obviously going to reach this point, but something that they said when they announced the Switch 2 a few months ago, backwards compatibility. Now it's starting to look like, despite obviously backwards compatibility, there is a chance that not all Switch games are actually going to be played on the Switch 2, which in turn then takes away the whole point of backwards compatibility. And it's like, it struck me as odd. So this is coming from, so I decided to look around, and this is coming from Eurogamer. Nintendo Switch 2 doesn't originally run Switch games natively. One of the first things that there was noticed for absolute certain about the Switch successor was that it would be backwards compatible. At the corporate management policy briefing, it was announced that Nintendo Switch software will also be playable on the successor to the Switch. And this was announced by the company president Shuntaro Furukawa back in November. Yes, paid upgrades. Now, not all games will be getting the paid upgrades. That's the thing. But while this means Switch 2 owners will still be able to play most of the games from the original Switch's library, this isn't possible because the two consoles are compatible at a hardware level, which would have been handy. Rather, it's possible thanks to a workaround Nintendo has managed to implement. During a recent Ask the Developer QA, Nintendo's Koichi Kawamoto said the Switch 2 team always wanted the new system to play the original console's games, but were told that there'd be technical challenges getting it to work. When we first started Switch 2 development, the focus was on enhancing its performance as hardware, namely expanding its capacity, added Takuhiro Dota. Apology if I'm butchering these names. So compatibility was a lower priority. Well, not gonna lie, folks. With this price, you better make sure you have fucking that backwards compatibility is actually a thing. Because guess what? Not many people will be able to afford that and a game to come with it when on release.
True.
Not many people are going to be able to afford it.
But also remember as well, like, yeah, okay, it's a, it's don't get me wrong, it's definitely a shock to the system because, Nintendo's never really done that. You know what I mean? Like the pricing, I mean, like games and console included, like not that steep at least anyway. But then I sit there and think back, okay, but remember when we had the PS5 come out? And like they said that they were meant to have backwards compatibility, and it turned out it was only for a select few games. And then in the end, like they started adding more and more and more to that backwards compatibility side of things, right? That might just also be kind of the case for the Switch as well. I'm not saying like what they're doing is right, but at the same time, I'm sitting there thinking, well, yeah, it's gonna piss everyone off because one, dude, that's expensive. That's quite a jump from how you used to do things. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm sitting there thinking the amount of games that we would have loved to have played with backwards compatibility on the PS5 from like even just PS4 titles, because that was the extent at that point, before they brought out their little emulator thingies for, PS1, 2, and 3 games. That took time. So I do have high hopes that they will make it so quite a few games are at least, backwards compatible, because I agree with you, not everyone's going to be able to afford a game to come with it.
Well, as Ven stated in the chat, obviously there's paid upgrades for some games, but not all of the games will actually get paid upgrades. And you'd have to imagine, like, if there's a few that can't be played, what are those few that can't be played, and what's going to be the extent of them not being able to be played? Are we talking the physical copies? Are we talking like some digital? What are we looking at here? Like,
no,
they've not actually really specified on what it is actually going to be. So the only thing we can actually assume is that they're going to be still using the same type of micro SD for the games, because that's what the Switch games are micro SD. So we can only assume that's going to be the case.
And we can only hope.
Yeah. Now,
I'm just trying to like show it from a different perspective, sort of things. Like, I'm not disagreeing with what you and everybody else has said. Like, I do genuinely agree, but I'm just trying to see it from a different type of perspective.
No,
where it's
and
like,
you're right.
You're not, because the thing is,
you are right
a lot
to
of
do
people have, and a lot of more people, which understandably so, like, there's been an uproar because of like it being like this on a Switch, but nowhere near as many people really had that attitude when it came to PlayStation with their backwards compatibility. It's like, the way I see it is, for me personally, I can't sit there and just basically purely shit on one console, because at the end of the day, like, it's the modern era, and the way I see it is, it's not a great thing, no, that, if it doesn't have base game compatibility, fuck's sake, Damo, backwards compatibility,
it's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I might sound like I'm rinsing and repeating, but I'm also like, that is literally my point. Xbox had done it with their backwards compatibility. That took them time, and quite a few people had an uproar about that, which is fair.
Well, to be fair though, Xbox really had no other choice, seeing as how the amount of games that were actually on release was very minimal, and yet the catalog for games is much more different in regards to this, because it's like, because the reason why the PlayStation 5 though struggled initially with sales, did somewhat do rather well, is because they actually had, obviously, is because they actually allowed obviously the PS4 backwards compatibility. The fact that they're saying that some aren't is concerning. I think the saving grace is, for me, and I think quite a few other people, because because I have spoke to Beth about this, as well as a few others, is the fact that we're able to use the Pro controllers that we have for our Switch currently. That is like a saving grace, so we're not going to have to fork out like 40-50 quid in order to get new Pro controllers for this.
Exactly. Also, Ivy said there's a list of games that have free upgrades, a list of games that have paid upgrades, and there are 1% of Nintendo official games that won't work. It doesn't say which ones there are, but I have a graph if you could, I have a graph you can pull up if you would like to see it.
I wouldn't mind seeing it. We won't pull it up because that'll be. But I do. That is actually pretty. That is actually nice to see that info is actually out there. Because the reason why I think this is somewhat concerning is because the Switch 2 is coming out in June, and yet there are still some games coming out for the regular Switch. So that literally will be like afterwards, like Pokemon Legends ZA, which I'm looking forward to, as many of you know. What happens if I get the original Switch version and then upgrade to the Switch 2 version? Do I have to do a paid upgrade to obviously have it better performance? Like, because one of the games that's getting an upgrade, a performance upgrade, is Scarlet and Violet. Which...
That is interesting.
Yeah, which is very interesting why they're doing that at this stage of the game's life cycle.
Unless they've got more events they want to do by the time the Switch 2 is out. That's the only thing I can think of.
Well, the only thing they're doing is raids, and not gonna lie, most of the raids I don't need to do. Most people, like, they're just literally. It's literally a case of. You get this Pokemon, it's a starter, or this Pokemon, that's a legendary, but it has the mightiest mark. I'm sorry, but by the time you actually get those Pokemon from the raids, they're not that good when you actually use them. Because the raid Pokemon are actually a lot different and a lot stronger than when you actually catch them. So, I see no point in doing those anymore.
That's understandable. But I'm thinking, like, maybe... I'm not trying to get anyone's hopes up, by the way, because I have no information on this sort of shit. But this is just high hopes, so I just want to put it out there. I'm not misinforming. It's my own hopes.
Yeah.
That maybe they, bit of a reach, might end up coming out with another DLC that we don't know about. Considering we know how hush-hush they like to be with their DLCs when it comes to it. Especially with Pokemon.
Ivy says those two are a free upgrade. Okay, right. So Scarlet and Violet are a free upgrade. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, folks. I'm not shitting on the Switch 2. I'm also very much looking forward to it, especially with the GameCube extension coming out. The fact that obviously we're going to be getting Soul Calibur 2, Pokemon Colosseum, Gale of Darkness. They didn't show the original Pokemon Colosseum, but I can only assume, considering Gale of Darkness was the sequel to that, that we'll also get the first one. That's the main reason I'm really excited for it. So I'm still gonna stick by what I've always generally believed, and that's why I'm only gonna be just slowly raising money in order to get the Switch 2, because with the release being so close, you can almost guarantee there's gonna be a lot of issues.
100%. Since when isn't there issues with consoles?
Especially on release, so it's like, I'm kind of glad they announced it so close, so that by the time I actually could afford it, I'll be able to actually, they may have actually fixed a lot of the issues.
Kane says the prices might be boosted for the consoles again. Might be going up to 500 now, but in some countries it's different. Beth says, I'm also curious about the graphics with BOTW and TOTK.
Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
And Ven says, I've only had my OLED for 2 years, so I don't feel like upgrading right now.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's fair, though. That is honestly 100% fair.
Here's the thing, folks. Many of you know, my Switch is very old. I've had this Switch for a good 6-7 years, and I've worked it to the bone.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. That's like something my mum said. With me and tech, I make sure I work it. I make sure we get every penny out of that.
Yeah.
Because that's how I am with every bit of tech I own. So I make sure I use it. I make sure it's worth the damn price. And also, something I've thought as well that I spoke to Nana Chaos about literally the other day, actually. it's also a smart idea to release the Switch 2 when they are. Because a lot of people theorized that it'd be coming out close to like autumn winter time. But think about it. They've released it now. The prices being as high as they are. Come Christmas time, lower the price. Lot more sales come through in regards of it, so they make up their money for it. So then by the time Christmas comes around, they'll have actually had loads of actual time to fix any stuff that has actually come out, patch any system problems, so then by the time Christmas comes around, then it actually works. And that is true. However, they actually they tend not to much, but I could definitely say when I got my Switch, it was on offer from 350 quid to 220 quid. With a couple of games.
And don't forget as well, it also depends on the store, because some stores, they just genuinely, when it comes to sales and stuff, they don't give a shit.
I went to Game.
Lower it to however they want to lower it, you know what I mean?
I went to Game.
Yeah. Oh, this song's just come on.
I will say someone made a graph that compared inflation to release prices of old Nintendo devices, and it wasn't that far off. Yeah.
Damn.
Well, at the end of the day, though, we're still... There is something to obviously keep an eye out on. Obviously, when it comes out, you can imagine any news that comes out in regards of its release, obviously we'll be trying to cover, and any news that we get from people that actually get the Switch 2 early, or on release date, sorry. Obviously, we'll be asking for their feedback. So if you do see this later on, folks, in the YouTube comments, do please put in the comment section how your Switch 2 is, and if you've had any issues. We would like to actually hear feedback from you guys, so then we can actually report on it. So then you aren't just... so then you can let us know, so then we can actually report it and actually hopefully get the word out, so then we can see if other people are also having said issues. Because that is something like I would like to actually see if that is the case. Now, Ivy, there's a friend chat button on the new controllers when the console comes out, which also comes out with a camera plug-in, so you can use either your own camera or the Switch-made camera. No, you actually have to use the Switch-made camera. You can't use your own, you have to use the Switch-made camera. But it's only free for a year, then you have to pay for it next year. If you don't pay for it, the button on the controller doesn't work. Well, the thing is, it's like... Most... Oh, really? Oh, I must have missed that. But, in regards of it, I will personally say that at this point, she's making disagreement sounds.
Wait, who is?
I assume Ivy is making disagreement sounds. I will say this though, and I think most people can agree with me on this. Because Switch users have been so used to not being able to talk to each other in game most of the time, they'll play with friends who have Discords. So we'll literally be Discord. We'll literally be in a Discord call. So it's kind of an unnecessary feature. Really?
Pretty much.
Like, not to shit on them actually trying to do it. And also, this may have just been like how it was when they were showing it, but when using it, it kind of was laggy and made the game laggy. But at the same time, though, one thing I'm not too bothered about in regards to the feature is because at the end of the day, it's a console that can go from dock to handheld. The only interesting part is you can see the other person's game without using a capture card. That is true. But but yeah, no, like the Switch 2 is definitely something that is probably going to be one of the big discussions of this year, especially with how it goes. And when I do eventually get one myself, obviously we will see how things go on that part. Because I wanted to get an OLED for two reasons: one, upgrade; two, Ethernet cable. So I'll be able to actually plug an Ethernet cable, and I'll be able to actually have smoother gameplay if I'm doing online games, or at least smoother connection. Yeah, I wanted an OLED. I had one. I had it on Throne. But yeah, Crust, we spoke about that quite a bit. I'm still scared of Elden Ring running on it. I'm not, because I ain't touching it. I've done Elden Ring already. I am good, chief. I will pass on that. I'm gonna stick to what I know best. Chaos, you have to come back for your children's route. Now they can fuck the hell off, Kane. Nah, screw that. I'm gonna be sticking to what I do best on there. That's Pokemon games. Although I will admit, I am looking forward to actually seeing, say, the likes of Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition to see how that looks. Team effort, Demo, Chaos, and me.
Wait, what?
Elden Ring.
Oh, yeah, those were the days, weren't they? Glitched out on us.
Oh, that fucking video. The little weird, creepy fucking thing looking up. Daddy!
Daddy! Look, I'm not going to sit here and deny this fighting means I'm actually going to be full on sitting here in a minute. That is literally one of my favourite bits to watch out of that video entirely. Like, when I show people specifically, it's that one bit, I'm always like, oh yeah.
That shit was so
because it was so perfect.
Oh, God. And the fact is, Kay didn't even see that's where I was at in the cutscene. And he nailed it so well. It's like, what the fuck? Oh, I also got very annoyed when trying to deal with that fucking boss fight. That was so damn annoying. Goes back in after dying literally a third time, literally after it fucking OKOs me for no apparent reason because that thing was a laggy bitch. I'm like, just running. Right, you, slag, come here. Let me fucking stab you. Yeah, I was not.
Yeah, there was a joke you made at the time, but it was too soon. And I think you edited it out in the end.
I don't know. Oh wait, yeah, no, yeah. Because we ended up in a graveyard area, and I made that joke. It's like, oh,
yeah. I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
There we go. It's one of those days today.
Yeah. I'm glad I was just recording and not live streaming that one.
Oh yeah, no, same to be.
Oh Jesus. But yeah, no. Switch 2 news, any that comes up, we will do our best to cover it. Next up, Demo.
Yes. Next up, yes, Cult of the Lamb. Now, I don't know. Like, they say on their Twitter, like, oh, we have a big announcement. The update you've been waiting for came out on the 31st of March at 10 past 11 p.m. this year. And obviously there's the video, which keeps just rinse and repeating. But then they go on to turn around and say, right, oh, on a second thought, maybe we should not have hired that marketing company I found in our spam folder to do the trailer.
Yeah, that was just an April Fool joke.
Yeah, like literally just under an hour before the actual day.
But the thing is, like, it's nothing new for the Cult of the Lamb devs to do shit like that. Like, fucking hell, they literally They made a joke about adding an update where the fucking followers can have sex.
Yeah.
They literally made that joke, and then because of the community feedback on that, they then made that into a legit thing. So it's not out of the realm of possibility for the Cult of the Lamb devs to literally make a joke, and then depending on community feedback, then to actually do it. Like, they love to joke around. Like, Christ alive, look at the game. Cult of the Lamb is hilarious.
But like, the thing is, I saw it and I did not think about that in mind at the time. Until like I started seeing the comments later on, I was like, for fuck's sake, like I thought we were getting some new shit. So no, I actually officially got fucking pranked that day by them.
Yeah, actually, in regards of Cult of the Lamb, actually, it's kind of a segue, actually. Unfortunately, a member of the Cult of the Lamb team, unfortunately, did pass away.
Oh shit.
Yeah. This was announced on their Twitter page, actually, I think about a week or two ago. And it was a full-on thing. It's with heavy heart and broken hearts that we have to announce that Nariana Johnson, aka Riverboy, has passed away. Is it possible to describe how much of a void he is leaving at Massive Monster, and at how much his absence will be felt? He was more than our audio director. He was a creative powerhouse. He was a friend, and he was our silly little guy. From the first note of music to the voice of every single follower, Nariana is woven into the very soul of the Cult of the Lamb. The game and the studio won't be what it is, and won't be the same without him. Nariana would want you to take a moment to look at nature, to touch your feet at the earth. He would want you to listen to his music and remember how much it meant to him to share it with you all. The team needs some space and kindness in this difficult time. We're a small team and we're all feeling the loss. Thank you for understanding. Nariana, we are going to miss you so, so much. We love, with love, Massive Monster.
That's really sweet of them to do. I wasn't even aware of that, to be honest.
Yeah. That happened on. I literally saw it and obviously posted it in our chat on the 3rd. So yeah, from that joke to then literally a few days after that, it's yeah. So shout out to the Massive Monster team. Much respect for what you guys have done with the Cult of the Lamb, and Nariana. Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace, dude.
Rest in pepperonis.
But
yeah. It was sad to actually see that. Like, literally not long after the April Fool's thing. It's like, I imagine they probably had the news for obviously a bit, but wanted to obviously be respectful for family before they announced it. So I imagine the trailer, the April Fool's thing they did, was a slight nod to the guy.
That it happened without saying anything too massive about it.
That may have been like their own little like in-house tribute to how silly things are, because you guarantee that that person would have actually put through all that.
Oh yeah.
So. Yeah, no, like, it's sad when a small team loses a member like that. And the fact that Cult of the Lamb is actually just a really, really good game in general.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, I played it off stream and it's just fun as fuck. And the pranks the followers pull on each other as well. Like, I remember when I did one on stream and one of the followers wanted to pull a prank on Icy. And basically get her character to eat poo. Yeah.
Of course.
It's like, it's just little shit like that. It's like, it's why Cult of the Lamb is worth picking up.
Oh yeah.
In general, just like, it's just fun. That being said, next one. Demo?
That being said, we're gonna get a bit controversial. Well, I said controversial. It's not controversial in the way that you guys stink. But do you remember Wizard of the Coast and all that bullshit? Like, what, about a year, two, maybe 3 years ago?
No.
I believe it was like more to a year. You know, we did cover a little bit of what they had done.
I can't remember that, no.
Well, let's just say this is on Game Rant. It was published on 27th of March. Wizards of the Coast hires former Dragon Age the Veilguard director.
Well, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Event.
Former Dragon Age. Yeah, I know, right? I'm interested. Former Dragon Age the Veilguard director Corinne Bush, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it, has recently been hired by Wizards of the Coast to work on an unannounced title at the Skeleton Key studio. At the moment, almost nothing is known about the upcoming project, except that the former Dragon Age Veilguard director will be a part of it. Corinne was at EA between 2012 and 2024, working on popular projects such as this. Sims? Oh. Sorry, I was genuinely surprised. They become the director of Dragon Age Veilguard in 2022. Soon after multiple leads had left the project and helped ship the game, after its launch, Dragon Age Veilguard underperformed EA's expectations, reaching only 1.5 million players by the end of 2024. Despite positive reviews then, in January 25, Corinne announced that she was leaving BioWare, but that her departure was unrelated to the game's commercial performance. Wizards of the Coast has confirmed that Corinne was hired to work at Skeleton Key, according to an interview with Wizards of the Coast's head of digital gaming, Dan Ayub. That she'd been hired to work on an unannounced project and will join members such as former Dragon Age producer Christian Daly in the studio. Up until February, Skeleton Key was rumored to be working on 2 projects. However, one AAA horror game in development by Skeleton Key was reportedly cancelled last month, so 2 months ago now, with some employees being laid off. During the same interview, Ayub explained that the decision to cancel one game was to pool its resources into the other one, rather than shutting down a studio as some games expected. It's still unclear what game Corinne will be working on, but it's possible that Skeleton Key could be developing Baldur's Gate 4 or another D&D based RPG. A few weeks ago, Hasbro hyped Baldur's Gate 4, as Ayub said in another interview, that a lot of people are interested in the game and that there were plans at the company to use the property in future, now that Larian Studios is officially not working on a sequel for the popular game. In any case, this is all speculation and it's currently impossible to know details about Project Skeleton Key is working on. Which, honestly, fair. Because at the end of the day, if people want to play Baldur's Gate 4, we've already had this discussion as it is anyway at that point.
Yeah.
I will sit there and I will see. And at the end of the day, it's one of them. If it's Baldur's Gate 4, it's Baldur's Gate 4. If it's not, it's not. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but obviously, here's something that I will say, obviously, in regards of it. Baldur's Gate 3 is in a league of its own. That is a fact.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3 is in a league of its own, and Larian spent years on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously the fact they don't want to actually do any more, ASI, it's no surprise. So, one thing I want everyone to, when obviously Baldur's Gate 4 does happen, one thing I want to make very adamantly clear. Do not, in any way, shape or form, compare Baldur's Gate 3 with Baldur's Gate 4. And
also, do not go in with the high expectations of seeing our very favourite little twink. Or any of our other beloved characters, like our Dommy Mommy, a soft Dommy Mommy, Carla.
Yeah.
Our wicked bitch of the West, Shadowheart.
Wicked bitch.
Our favorite favorite love-hate relationship with Lizelle and stuff like. Don't go in expecting it's going to be a full-on continuation. This is why Larian has redone some of the endings, especially the evil ending, which granted was down to the fact that not many people were impressed with it, and I am one of those people. I wasn't impressed with it. Before they also added like this, like from like patch 7, right? I've actually done one evil playthrough, not of my choosing. It was a friend. And it was quite underwhelming. I will not deny that. It was quite underwhelming. And I've seen stuff to do with new evil endings. And as much as I do want to do an evil ending, I can never bring myself to do it. We were actually talking about this earlier, to be fair. And I would rather do it with like a friend so I can be like, but I want to be good. No, but no. Okay. Like sort of situation, you know?
Yeah.
But that article, like, even though it's not solely Baldur's Gate 3 related, we
That
do
is
have
essentially
an
the main
article
point of
about
it.
Sven. Yeah, that was the main event. But this one's about Sven, like, saying something as well. So, like, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, in regards to Baldur's Gate, again, as I said, like, don't expect, because with one thing I'll always say, when it comes to sequels of games, there are two ways that sequels are usually done. Either as a continuation of the story, or it's a brand new story. If it's a continuation, obviously have some form of expectation, because obviously they're continuing on that. However, it's a brand new game with, maybe set in the same world, but with obviously different characters, do not have those same expectations. That's one thing, like, look at the Final Fantasy series. Perfect example. If they're going to do a sequel, they'll add another number, they'll add a different number onto that number. Like, look at the Final Fantasy 10. We got then 10-2. So, again, just because it's the same, just because the franchise is there, just because the name of the franchise is there, and obviously with a new number, don't expect anything high.
Like, the highest expectation, honestly, I'll say this. Sorry for interrupting, by the way. The only highest expectation I have is if they do end up making a Baldur's Gate 4, are we going to see the little tiefling that we, obviously by choice, that, that we can say from the very beginning? Because I have to word this carefully. But because what you find out partway through Act 2, and then also again in Act 3, it kind of makes sense. I know it's most likely not going to happen, but that's the only highest expectation that I do have. Like, literally the highest hope of an expectation.
Yeah.
Because I think that'd be quite cool, because she's learning all these new things.
Quite cool, maybe.
Because I don't want to give Chaos spoilers. Just saying.
Would be cool, yeah, but at the same time, it depends on who they've got working on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, anyway, on to something else. And obviously, as many of you here are aware, I don't exactly have high expectations in regards of award shows. One perfect example is a meme that came out of one a couple of years ago. Best racing game, The Last of Us Part 2. Best puzzle game, The Last of Us Part 2. Best RPG, The Last of Us Part 2. Best dating sim, The Last of Us Part 2. You get the idea. Because a lot of the time now, unfortunately, award shows are literally just more of either a political or business battle. It depends on who's actually paid the most. It doesn't matter who the viewer votes. It's stupid and it's harsh, but unfortunately that is the reality with a lot of them. Now, I do have some good news in regards to an upcoming awards show. Actually, that comes out tomorrow. The BAFTAs. Ooh. Yes, we're actually talking about the BAFTAs. Something that I never thought I'd actually say. This is coming from the Gaming Bible. And I have looked into this and it looks like to be true. The 21st BAFTA Games Awards are around the corner on 8th of April. And this year, it's been unveiled that distinguished composer, Ivy, you might want to listen to this one, Yoko Shimomura, will be the recipient of the BAFTA Fellowship, the organisation's highest honour. The Japanese composer, pianist Shimomura is being recognised for her incredible contribution to the games industry. Now, what kind of contribution are you guys asking? Well, here's the list. The Kingdom Hearts series, Final Fantasy 15, the Mario and Luigi series, Xenoblade Chronicles, Streets of Rage, personal favourite of mine, the Mana series, Super Mario RPG, Live Alive, Radiant Historia, Parasite Eve, Breath of Fire and Street Fighter 2 are some of the iconic soundtracks Shimomura has composed. Shimomura is currently working on the soundtrack for the upcoming Kingdom Hearts 4 and with recent work including Rainatis and Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. So, congratulations on actually receiving that.
Oh, hell yeah.
The fact that the BAFTAs are actually recognising that is something else. So, congratulations. Well done. We'll hopefully be looking forward to hearing your work on Kingdom Hearts 4 sooner rather than never. Because again, there's still no fucking news on Kingdom Hearts 4. Because we got the trailer literally like a couple of years ago or a year ago, and we've literally heard nothing since. Talk about playing your cards close to your chest. These guys are taking the piss.
Yes.
Now, demo?
Yes, now, for the added extra spice of controversy that I said that this article was so swinky, related to the other article because it is Baldur's Gate and Wizard of the Coast. Kind of related. This is on PC Gamer. Sven Svinsky says fan mods shouldn't be treated like commercial ventures that infringe on your property. Just hours before Wizards of the Coast retracts his Baldur's Gate 3 Stardew mod takedown. This article came out on the 31st of March, and as it states, early this month we covered the release of Baldur's Village, a Stardew Valley mod, adding more than 20 characters from Baldur's Gate 3 that earned Larian CEO Sven Svinky's stamp of approval. Well, this morning, we reported how Wizard of the Coast seemingly decided that the best way to capitalize off that brand momentum was to scour the mod from the internet. In a statement to PC Gamer, Wizard of the Coast says the takedown was a mistake, stating, the Baldur's Gate Village DMCA takedown was issued mistakenly. We are sorry about that. The Wizards of the Coast spokesperson wrote, we are in the progress of fixing that now so fans and the Stardew Valley community can continue to enjoy this great mod. We're not legal experts, but I believe in the business they call this a whoopsie. A Wizard of the Coast whoopsie, if you will. The DMCA retraction follows just hours after Vinsky once again waned in on the crossover mod. Free quality fan mods highlighting your characters in other game genres are proof your work resonates and a unique form of word of mouth, he said on Twitter. IMHO, I don't know what that means. They shouldn't be treated like commercial ventures that infringe on your property. In a follow-up tweet, Vinsky said that protecting your IP can be tricky, but I do hope this gets settled. There are good ways of dealing with this. Larian, of course, has no say in matters involving the Baldur's Gate and Dungeons & Dragons licenses, which Vinsky acknowledged back in 24. As for Baldur's Gate 3 and its characters, they now belong to Wizard of the Coast, and I think they understand how important they are for the community, Vinsky said at the time. I trust that they'll be treated with respect. Whether hounding free user-made mods with the threat of legal action, even if they call it a whoopsie later on, qualifies as respectful ownership, is at the end of the day a call for Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro to make as licensed owners. But given we're barely 2 years past Wizards of the Coast retreating from its proposed D&D license changes after shitting, literally it's what it says, after shitting the proverbial community relations bed, perhaps we shouldn't be surprised by the misfire.
Tell us what you really think, jeez.
Look, at the end of the day, the way I see it is, especially in terms of Wizards of the Coast, it's not the first time they've pulled a whoopsie.
No, I just find it
and
funny.
And it will not be the last.
I just find it funny that was the way they worded it. That's what I find funny.
Yeah.
Damn. Proverbial shitting the bed.
Proverbial shit in the bed, yeah.
Now, there's a phrase you don't hear often.
Nope, not at all.
Jesus Christ.
And besides, like, putting a DMCA, like, strike on someone, I can understand it's your IP, whatever, but at the same time, you know, if it weren't for the modding community
Yeah, but the thing
in
is,
its own right, like...
but the thing is, though, you have to imagine though the amount of companies that are actually trying to take down mods because they don't like it because it infringes on their IP. Yet, literally, if anything, it helps.
Oh yeah.
Like, I actually have a bit of news that I didn't have, couldn't find an article on. However, I do have a reliable source in regards to it from an actual pro player of the scene. In regards of said thing, the Smash Melee community has been long going. Because a lot of people believe that Smash Melee is one of the best in the entire Smash series, and we covered obviously the whole Slippy mod last year on the Flopcast when we spoke about Nintendo essentially trying to get rid of it. Well, a actual competitive Smash player who was actually going to be taking place in a actual tournament, Smash Melee tournament, has been essentially told, well, basically because he was found to actually be using Slippy, and he's a Japanese player, and the Japanese are very against mods, especially when it comes to games like Smash. However, with stuff like Slippy and that, which actually enhances the game and actually makes it better, you'd think they'd let that go. Well, this one Japanese player has unfortunately lost his position in tournaments in Japan because he was found to be using these to play online. And it's like, but that's the whole point. These allow players to play, because the only reason why they used it was apparently so they could actually play with people around the world. What's wrong with that?
There isn't.
But yeah,
At least in my opinion, there isn't.
but yeah, like, so the guy unfortunately has, but it's just proof, like, there are people that, even countries that actually don't like mods, even when the mods actually do the game more justice and actually help enhance the game and actually make it better so people can actually play it more. I don't know, it's weird. It's weird that that's like that's the case.
Right.
But unfortunately, it's the ongoing battle. Like, what mods are good, what mods aren't. And then you have games like Baldur's Gate, Skyrim, Fallout, and other Elder Scrolls games that literally have sections for mods.
Yeah.
In their games, because they understand that the mods actually enhance the game. They actually add a different flavour to it. I get, obviously, if you're using mods for online play, obviously there's a certain degree, because that's kind of like a fine line to cross. Like, for a mod like Slippy that takes a game that was originally not online and actually takes it online, and actually makes the net coding a lot better than what was for Smash Ultimate. I honestly don't see a problem with it, but, you know, it's an ongoing discussion that we'll probably have, like, here for ages, because, like, we appreciate certain mods that literally are there for either fun or just for your own personal enjoyment. And if they actually enhance the game and make it better than what it was delivered, like, if anything, I would, if I were one of these companies that had actually, like, had an issue with it, I would actually try and get them in, the makers of said mod, to actually then come in and try and implement it into the game officially. Like, why shut them down when you can bring them in?
Right.
I don't know. That's just all I add to the mod thing.
That's alright. At the end of the day, like, you have a voice, use it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But I do have one last article.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, not really an article, more something I want to bring more attention to people. Tekken 8. Now, Tekken 8 has had a bit of a interesting start to its life. Season 1 being rather bit rocky with some decisions that they have actually made. In regards of like pricing, in regards to stuff, as well as obviously the battle pass that they added and blah 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 blah, as well as the monetization that originally wasn't there when the game first came out, and then when it did come out, all the reviews had already come out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, season 2 has just the season 2 has just started for it, and whilst they initially said that it was the fixes and stuff they were going to be adding to a lot of the characters' kits was going to be trying to be more defense focused, has in turn done the exact opposite. It's ended up making it's giving a lot more characters moves that make them more offensive rather than defensive. And it's to the point where a lot of pro players are really not happy. Now, why am I only saying about pro players being not happy about it? Because when it comes to fighting games, yeah, obviously there'll be people like myself that'll actually play for fun. But I also pay attention to the pro scene. I also pay attention to like what they're doing, what tricks they're pulling, various other things, like what they're saying that might make things better, blah blah blah, because they literally push the characters to the best that they can be. So why wouldn't I pay attention to them? And for casual players it may not seem like much, but for the pro players it's becoming it's rough. Like, they're not happy with it. But something that was brought up in said argument was Tekken 7 didn't exactly have a great start either. It takes them a while to get them running. And Tekken 7 actually became amazing near the end of its life. And a lot of pro players are saying that they're going to just go back to Tekken 7 because of how unplayable it feels for Tekken 8. Because they added a load of new moves to a lot of characters' kits. So it's like, huh? It's like, why do this for Season 2? Why do this? Why say you're going to try and actually make things defensive, more defense-focused, and yet you've done the complete opposite? So a lot of people that were preparing for a possibly defensive pro scene are now looking at it basically being an offensive pro scene yet again.
I honestly couldn't tell you.
So it's I've not played the update yet. But it's going to be very interesting because essentially most of the characters that are used in the top are Brian, Dragunov, and a couple of others, and it's like the defensive play would have maybe switched things up on what the top characters would have been, but it may end up just being like in the pro scene just Brian and Dragunov yet again, and it's like, really? And I'll say this, when I play online I don't usually have issues with Brians and Dragunovs. I'm usually able to fight them, but that's because they're fighting on the same level as me. So if I were to go up against an actual pro player, I guarantee I'll probably get folded up like a sandwich and then chewed up.
Probably, man.
No, okay,
It's usually the case, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. You know what, Chaos, I'm getting the same vibe from Dragon Ball Fighters with this news. Well, Dragon Ball Fighters, like, that I don't know really what happened in regards to Fighters. Like, it had potential. I don't know. But yeah, other than my review, that's literally all I got.
Well, what I will do is, because I've technically got 3 more, but what I'll do is I'll just do like the last main one, because obviously, you know, it's on your video.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why, Red Bull, why are you covering up the... Fuck off. Oh my god.
Gotta love
Right,
them
let me
ads
refresh.
on the
There we go.
articles.
Yeah, this is on Game Rant. Why Power's 0.5.0 update is a huge game changer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's on Game Rant. There
Yep,
we
yep.
go. Thank you very much. Please don't give me another ad.
Because they have
Anyway.
just added crossplay.
Yeah, since they have.
Oh, for goodness sake, hey! Thankfully it missed you, Damo.
Well, it's on your pizza oven spade thing, so you know. Anyway, the non-stop early access life of Palworld is showing no signs of slowing down, with a consistent stream of fresh content greatly expanding the core experience of the game.
Mm-hmm.
While the project is still quite far away from achieving its full content ambitions, it seems as if fans have always have something to look forward to, and its most recent major update is perhaps one of the most important. March 19th was one of the most momentous days of Palworld history, seeing the release of the hotly anticipated 0.5.0 update, which saw some of the most highly demanded absent features finally added to the title. The accessibility improvements and much wider avenues of gameplay of this patch are quite revolutionary. For what Palworld now offers players, with the game finally looking close to the final product that players are expecting to see in 2025. You know,
so now I can play with Damo and Ivy on the game now.
That is true. That is true. But yeah, and that's literally because of the fact of, you know, crossplay for being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
If anything else.
Yeah.
I like how it doesn't tell me when this article came out. It's pretty weird. Anyway, and not just that as well, but you can also custom your worlds now a bit more.
Yep.
Even on already say the save file that you've got, so you don't actually have to make a new save.
Yep.
Which is pretty awesome.
Not many games do that.
But within this update as well, by the way, is Palworld has also introduced the global PAL box mechanic, allowing players to directly store the data of their pals to freely transfer them between worlds.
Yep.
The locking of pals to specific worlds was a big downside of Palworld's previous state, especially for players wanting to move between worlds when playing with friends. Well, this update has eliminated the most glaring issue that previously existed with this. As well as the PAL storage has received a wider overhaul with the introduction of dimensional PAL storage, a brand new storage system that can hold up to 10 times more PALs than the pre-existing standard storage mechanic. This goes hand in hand with the new ability to transfer PALs between worlds, obviously, as stated before, putting more freedom and variety in the player's hands, than ever before. Personalization is another aspect of Palworld that has been overhauled with the new update patch thing, with the game introducing its own transmogrified. Yeah, I'm just gonna say transmog. It's fine. Mechanic that allows players to choose the appearance of armor in the antique dresser while maintaining the stats of a completely different armor set. As an added bonus, players finally have access to comprehensive photo mode in Palworld, allowing fans to experience the game from brand new angles to get the perfect shot of their most memorable moments. These milestone changes for Palworld have only been complemented by the wide range of UI improvements and bug fixes that were also introduced with the update as well, with some major pieces of the Project Early Access puzzle coming together to paint a much brighter picture of what fans can expect to see from Pocket Pair whilst they complete the, you know, stuff. And obviously, naturally, in some comments, it's like, oh yeah, but the patch screwed everything up because of the cross-play and its connection to Steam. When you log off, it reverts back to earlier. And it's like, well, you can literally save multiple times.
Yeah.
Without it having to be like autosave, so that's.
I think it's just people being sour grapes.
Like someone literally just went underneath. Oops. Well, you can't be alone. Sure, it'll be fixed soon.
Again,
Because at the end of the day, if you are experiencing that, then that, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that's okay. Like, it will eventually get fixed. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. So if you are experiencing bugs, not that I feel like I should have to say this, but I've got to say it anyway. But if you are experiencing bugs in any game, find out where you can report the bugs.
Mm-hmm.
More specifically, you know, if their studios are still open. Like, I don't expect, if you're experiencing bugs from a game from, like, the 90s, early 2000s, just go on the internet and find a fix.
God damn it, Kane. Well, excuse me if I want to be lazy. I don't want to say manually, look, a caveman. Shut the fuck up, man.
And you trust autosave.
Shut the fuck up, Kane. Shut the fuck up. It's been a troll as usual. So, our reviews, which I thought we'd actually save till the end.
We'll go for it.
So, Bleach Rebirth of Souls. Now, I'm gonna say this. I really actually enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the story. The way that they actually did it, it felt more like I was actually watching episodes, or it felt like a visual novel, so it actually had length to it, rather than just, oh, this happened in between this, that, and the other. Here's the next big fight. It actually took the time to actually tell the story. Obviously, taking out a lot of the filler, which I do appreciate, especially during the final fight against Aizen. The amount of times they did filler in that was ridiculous. How it played was definitely something different to how most fighting games are. I definitely like the fact they didn't fall into the trap where, hey, it's a game of a popular anime franchise. Let's do it like Naruto Shippuden has done their fighting games over the past decade. I'm so glad they didn't fall into that trap. Online, obviously, it was quite difficult to actually try, and when I went to go just find a match, I literally got linked up with no one. I literally had to make a room, and people then joined. Granted, I got my ass handed to me absolutely completely, and there was a bit of lag, but it is what it is. But yeah, the story of it, which is essentially the main part of why most people would actually play the Bleach game, absolute fire. Love how they did it. I will say though, the reason why I labeled it kind of like a visual novel is because for a lot of the cutscenes, the character animations were very rinse and repeat in some aspects. They didn't do as good as they could have done. Like, I know they could have done way better than that. But considering it's the first Bleach game that we've had in years, I won't knock it. Just so you guys know that the next Bleach game that we actually get, I do believe technically they should do the animations for the story parts, because a lot of it was like visual novel stuff, and then when they actually had big moments, they actually fully animated them, which I do appreciate. I also do appreciate how they kept some very funny moments, like when Yoruichi goes from cat to lady form for the first time in front of Ichigo. That shit made me fucking laugh, the fact they literally kept her nude. That shit made me laugh. And then she started talking, and then the next thing you hear from Ichigo is, "Put some damn clothes on!" Which, fucking killed me when I watched that originally. Absolutely hilarious. One of the funniest moments.
Mm-hmm. So, tell me, like, in terms, obviously, because you're doing a review and stuff, like, how does, like, if there's any combat, how is that for you? Like, what's the feel of it? Like, is it your kind of preferred thing?
In regards to the combat, I personally say that, yes, you can go aggressive. It feels quite defensive, and actually it can be quite slow. If you're choosing to go a more of a passive way of fighting, it actually can do that, because there's no like sprint. You can either dodge or you can go charge full on at the enemy. There's no like dash to the sides or like long dash to the sides. It's straight charge forwards, or you can go back slowly. There's no like double tap backwards and then you skip back.
Yeah.
The awakenings that they do, which basically take the characters up to essentially another level, like Ichigo obviously using Bankai. I liked how they did that, and then they gave his Bankai form its own standard and then he would actually then use his Hollow Mask. I like how they did that. I definitely liked how they did quite a few of the other characters' awakenings, and they did like the final moves would be different after a certain period. If the match has gone on quite a bit, then and you've done enough damage, then your normally awakening bar would then change to something else. There's also like a reawakening as well, so they get some characters have like another form as well, and those were very well animated. I very much liked how they did those. They were very, very, very nice. And
Very nice.
one of the things is like, I saw when I was actually streaming it the other day that someone actually said that they felt that Bleach had some of the best looking transformations out of anime of that genre. And it's like, I can kind of see why they would say that, and I do somewhat agree. Because the transformations, yeah, obviously some of them are big, but they have a lot more impact, because it's like, alright, now they're actually full on getting serious. And there's actually, in some characters' sense, there's actually a massive change. There's actually a massive, massive, massive change. And thank you very much for the follow, Jasmine.
Hey, Jasmine.
Welcome to the pizza party. Ready to roll around about the rest of the levels and have some fun.
Yeah.
I do feel that, I will say in regards to the combat, I do feel that the fact that you can't cancel some attacks to to block is a bit annoying. Aizen definitely does need to be nerfed, because I did somewhat struggle in my fight against him in some aspects. Oh, there we go. I'm just waiting for the alert thing to kick in. Very slow. But yeah, no. I would say, is Bleach Rebirth of Souls a game worth getting? I would say, if you're a fan of Bleach, yes, it is very much worth getting. If you're new to the Bleach franchise and you're looking for an entry into it, I would say look at the combat and then work it out for yourself, because the combat might not be for everyone. Because obviously, as I stated previously, obviously how the combat for the Naruto Shippuden games were, how a lot of games seem to fall into that sort of trap. But all in all, I would give the game for a return for the first Bleach game since, I believe, the DS, I would give it, a 7 out of 10. I've definitely enjoyed it, and I will definitely, obviously, play more at some point. And hopefully, maybe I'll actually play online with friends, because that's what I like doing on fighting games, is actually playing against friends.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Bleach game on the Wii U. Oh, really? I was not aware of that.
I didn't know about that either.
Huh. But yeah, no, it's definitely worthwhile if you're a Bleach fan.
Okay.
So, Damo?
Yes, my little review of Atomfall.
Yes.
There we go. Let's minimize that so I don't keep looking at the sales and Epic. So yeah, with Atomfall. So originally, when I first started playing it, I'd only played it for a couple of hours, and I will say this, hands down, I did admit, like, I'll admit, I'm not a stealth game type of person. I would rather go whoochoing, and I even did that throughout with the Assassin's Creed series as well when I was playing it back in the day. You know, even though I know I shouldn't have, it's fine. But anyway, so I gave it another shot, you know, leaving it for like a few days sort of thing. And I gave it another shot, and I just sat there all day playing it, and I got a lot further because then I realized what I needed to do. But I also did not turn to the internet for it, which is surprising because it's me.
Yeah.
Like, even today when I was playing... What was I playing this morning?
The bed one.
Oh yeah, this bed we made. But because there was no obvious indicators for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which also very good game, by the way. Just saying, like, I don't need to say any more on like this bed we made because it's a good game. Like, that's my review for that one. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about. And I finally got to a bit where I have better weapons. And genuinely, it's not as far or not so far north as where I was, you know, kind of hoping it to be. But at the end of the day, I will say this, I did thoroughly enjoy it. The gameplay, there was a couple, a little bit of a, you know, you move forward a few steps on occasion, you kind of teleport a couple of steps back. Granted, it's still like early days, so I'm not really going to hold that as a factor to say not to play it, because there could be a multitude of reasons for that. You know, and it will obviously be different for everybody else, like, sort of situation. And I like the way that they've done it. So what they've done is, with certain quests, from what I'm seeing, is that it will literally tell you if it's a main story quest. But you literally follow leads. You are investigating, you know, this really shit cover-up, and you're in this, like, area of England that you're not even, like, so even sure of and stuff like that. And it's also based on the wind scale, well, inspired by, should I say, the wind scale nuclear disaster. And even when you Google that, like, on a lot of websites, specifically the ones that I looked on, it was one of the most suspicious cover-ups the government's ever done.
So, would you care to actually, just for those who aren't aware of what Atomfall essentially is?
The thing is, I can't even sit here and say that it's a British Fallout, because that would be a lie. Because with some aspects, it looks like it would just be a British Fallout. But it's basically a mystery, like, game. You know, like I said, it's based... I keep saying based. It's inspired by the wind scale nuclear disaster from 1962. Let me get the blurb up, actually. That might help me a little bit more.
Yeah,
I do not remember these things.
Yeah, because normally people would are fully... They'll have heard the name, but they won't actually entirely be fully aware. So it's like, let's actually give a general description of it first. So then... Yeah,
so the blurb, which will also be the same on Steam as well, by the way. I just happened to have Epic in front of my face because I was looking at the sale. A survival action game inspired by real-life events, Atomfall is set 5 years after the wind scale nuclear disaster in northern England. Explore the fictional quarantine zone. Now I'm going northern again. Fuck. Scavenge, craft, barter, fight, and talk your way through a British countryside set and filled with bizarre characters, mysticism, cults, and rogue government agencies. From rebellion to the studio behind Sniper Elite and Zombie Army, Atom 4 will challenge you to solve the dark mystery of what really happened.
It's like Inventor slipping into Kyle earlier.
Yeah. Player-driven mystery, unravel a tapestry of interwoven narratives through exploration, conversation, investigation, and combat, where every choice you make has consequences. Explore this green and unpleasant land, the picturesque British countryside with rolling green hills, lush valleys, and rural villages. Belly the dangers that await you.
You do this every time.
I do. Search, scavenge, survive. You'll need to scavenge for supplies, craft weapons, and items, and fight desperately to make it out alive. And it is single player, so as much as it sucks, it's not multiplayer. Because I would love to play this with like some of you lot. Honestly, I would love to play this. But no, I literally had a big nerd moment sort of situation when I first researched it. I can't remember if it was to Chaos or if it was to Inventor, but I know it was one of you two. And I basically, for a brief moment, my dad is a history buff, okay? Specifically historical cars, but also knows a shit ton about, like, you know, historical events and shit. And I basically did research and turned into him, and what I'm gonna say right now is I basically dad-splained it. I dad-splained.
Just Jesus.
So, yeah.
So,
but it's really pretty. Like, honestly, the graphics are really good.
So, gameplay-wise, you've already explained. Story-wise, how would you say?
I like it. Like Daughter Like Chaos.
Bruh.
Yes. But I really like it graphically. Story-wise as well. Like, you can't really fault a lot. Without giving too much away. I went fucking oh god.
Bring it back, Damo, bring it back.
I'm trying to bring it back, I'm sorry. But like
and ain't that the truth?
Ain't that the truth of that?
Yeah, bruv.
Yeah, bruv. There was like a little mini side quest that you could do.
As a paladin.
As a paladin. Where you go in, you gotta solve like a murder of this woman. And you only find out about the quest if you come across certain leads. And that is basically the entire game. You literally like go through. There will not be like
so
no
it's
one's
like a murder mystery
will literally be the same.
So it's a murder mystery set in a nuclear fallout.
Yes, but for only like one part of Northern England. And you can't. There's no escape, so you gotta like do all this to try and escape.
So how would you rate the game out of 10?
Honestly, I'll probably say it's about. I'll probably give it about an 8. Probably about an 8 or 9.
Alright. Now, do you feel that you'll play this game to completion?
Oh yeah, I'll have to take some breaks in between because it really does like grates on you a little bit. Oh, and by the way, the devs literally when it comes to starting a new game, their recommended is basically play it on fucking nightmare difficulty. I was like, no, I'll take the slow road. I'm playing it on easy. I don't care about the immersive shit. If I want to, like, then fair, I'll change difficulty. But
so
Scottish stable, yeah, Scottish.
So, would you recommend this game to other people?
100%, yeah.
In the big pizza house, Jesus. Jesus Christ. Any other little bits you want to say about the game?
you have an option. So basically, you have options. So it's like you can either pry, which you don't want to do too much, because that could be bad. You know, you can be cautious. You can be aggressive as you want and stuff like that. You do get used to the gameplay mechanic. I wouldn't say relatively like too quick, but within like a good hour or two, depending on your play style and your understanding of games like that as well.
Alright.
If that makes sense. Yeah. So it's like I said, it's one of those like one person will have near enough the same experience because you'll find like leads a lot quicker than some people, and then like like in different areas and stuff like that. The only frustrating thing is that the items do not stack. That is my main complaint of the game, is the items do not stack. So if you've got like say some spam, because you can have like a meat tin in the famous spam colors and stuff like that, yeah.
So you got a limited inventory.
Essentially, yeah. You've got 4 main slots for your guns, like slash bows.
I see.
Then you've got the rest of your inventory. So like you have one bandage, it doesn't stack. So it'll be like one bandage next to another, and it's the same with like the food as well. And you can craft things and stuff, so that's actually really good for me because you know what I'm like. I mean that is fair. You can play without using a gun or a kniff. A kniff. You know, so it's about how you want to play it. If you want to go full on stealth route and just be like, you know what, I'm gonna punch you in the face and break your neck, fucking go for it. If you want to use guns, do it that way, like sort of thing.
Jesus Christ, Kane.
You know, and you've got like, you can learn the recipes and stuff like that, and the barter is quite smooth. I'm technically in an area I shouldn't actually be in yet, but I needed better weapons.
Why am I being used as a bloody ram? What the fuck?
I don't know.
Because
you're durable, apparently.
Fucking more Duracell than durable. You made so many kids, and must have made you invincible.
What the fuck?
Fuck's sake.
But no, that's my review at least. At least next time you'll have my review on the second part of the fucking other game that I got. Like Bloom Rage. So hopefully next time I'll be able to have a review for that finally.
Yeah. So, with that being said though, folks, we are actually going to bring this episode of the Flopcast to a close. Kane says, good review, Demo.
Thank you.
I think the accent sold it more.
Probably, yeah.
Kind of ironic you go with a Scottish accent for that game. But...
And it's nowhere near fucking Scotland.
Yeah, and yet you're going anyway.
I know. But it's either that or I go Yorkshire, or I go fucking Welsh, or Mancunian, or maybe a bit of Liverpool. I don't know.
Fucking don't go. Christ, I think we need to end this before all of a sudden Demo delves into the schizophrenia of fucking Britain. So, with that being said though, folks, thank you everyone for tuning in. The next episode of the Flopcast will be on the 21st of April.
Hell yeah.
So look forward to that one. Demo, again, where can people find you?
You can find me over at twitch.tv/itstemu, itstemu TV on TikTok, itstemu on Bluesky as well. So that's how you can find me.
Yeah. I might check it out. Good. So, we will see you guys all in the next episode. Anything that obviously that is covered here, our opinions are literally just opinions based on the information we have found. So do not take everything that we say as gospel. Do look into
And do
everything.
your own fucking research as well.
Yes, do your own bloody research. Our path here is literally just to bring the information to you guys, so then hopefully you might be able to actually find stuff out and then form your own informed opinion. Because we're dumb as fuck and we barely get through this. If we can help some way people actually having a better idea of things, then yes. Then we do our job, and we do our job with pride. And there's not a flag involved. Although I'm pretty sure some people want to wrap my head around a flagpole sometimes. So, we're going to be heading out. So make sure you have all your personal belongings with you. Anything that you leave behind will be used as ammunition against Inventor. So if you have any good, weapons or anything that might help, please do bring. And no, you can't use Damo as a weapon.
I'm too heavy for that, You ain't gonna be able to pick me up,
I don't know why when I hear this, I'm just thinking of Rhea. Am I wrong though?
No.
It is Rhea, yeah.
Well, no, because I kind of talk like this for you, don't I? But I take away all the huskiness, so I sound like this. I sound pretty.
Are you sure about that, innkeeper?
Oh, fuck off.
There we go. I brought it back. But yeah.
Oh, hey there, boyo. Now we need to get the remote one.
Sponge literally was on your head, Damo.
I don't know.
But yeah, we will see you all in the next episodes. And as always, raise your pizzas high and say it with me. Stay chaotic and live for the challenge.
And live for a challenge, ooh.
Fuck's sake. Bye.
Bye.